request, Priebus understood McFarland was not comfortable with the president's request, and he recommended that she talk to attorneys in the White House counsel's office. McFarland then reached out to Eisenberg. McFarland told him that she had been fired from her job as Deputy National Security Advisor and offered the ambassadorship in Singapore, but that the president and Priebus wanted a letter from her denying that the president directed Flynn to discuss sanctions with Kislyak. Eisenberg advised McFarland not to write the requested letter. As documented by McFarland in a contemporaneous memorandum for the record, that she wrote because she was concerned by the president's request, quote, Eisenberg thought the requested email and letter would be a bad idea. From my side, because the email would be awkward. Why would I be emailing Priebus to make a statement for the record? But it would also be a bad idea for the president, because it looked as if my ambassadorial appointment was in some way a quid pro quo, end quote. Later that evening, Priebus stopped by McFarland's office and told her not to write the email and to forget he even mentioned it. Around the same time, the president asked Priebus to reach out to Flynn and let him know that the president still cared about him. Priebus called Flynn and said that he was checking in and that Flynn was an American hero. Priebus thought the president did not want Flynn saying bad things about him. On March 31st, 2017, following news that Flynn had offered to testify before the FBI and congressional investigators in exchange for immunity, the president tweeted, quote, Mike Flynn should ask for immunity and that this is a witch hunt excuse for big election loss by media and Dems of historic proportion, end quote. In late March or early April, the president asked McFarland to pass a message to Flynn telling him the president felt bad for him and that he should stay strong. Analysis. In analyzing the president's conduct related to the Flynn investigation, the following evidence is relevant to the elements of obstruction of justice. A. Obstructive act. According to Comey's account of his February 14, 2017 meeting in the Oval Office, the president told him, quote, hope you can see your way clear to letting this go, to letting Flynn go. Hope you can let this go, end quote. In analyzing whether these statements constitute an obstructive act, the threshold question is whether Comey's account of the interaction is accurate, and if so, whether the president's statement had the tendency to impede the administration of justice by shutting down an inquiry that could result in a grand jury investigation and a criminal charge. After Comey's account of the president's request to, quote, let Flynn go became public, the president publicly disputed several aspects of the story. The president told the New York Times that he did not shoo other people out of the room when he talked to Comey, and that he did not remember having a one-on-one conversation with Comey. The president also publicly denied that he had asked Comey to let Flynn go, or otherwise communicated to Comey that Comey should drop the investigation of Flynn. In private, the president denied aspects of Comey's account to White House advisors, but acknowledged to Priebus that he brought Flynn up in the meeting with Comey and stated that Flynn was a good guy. Despite those denials, substantial evidence corroborates Comey's account. First, Comey wrote a detailed memorandum of his encounter with the president on the same day it occurred. Comey also told senior FBI officials about the meeting with the president that day, and the recollections of what Comey told them at the time are consistent with Comey's account. Second, Comey provided testimony about the president's request that he let Flynn go under oath in a congressional proceeding and in interviews with federal investigators subject to penalties for lying under 18 U.S.C. 1001. Comey's recollection of the encounter have remained consistent over time. Third, the objective, corroborated circumstances of how the one-on-one meeting came to occur support Comey's description of the event. Comey recalled that the president cleared the room to speak with Comey alone after a Homeland Security brief in the Oval Office, but Kushner and Sessions lingered and had to be shooed out by the president, and that Priebus briefly opened the door during the meeting, prompting the president to wave him away. While the president has publicly denied those details, other administration officials who were present have confirmed Comey's account of how he ended up in a one-on-one meeting with the president. The president acknowledged to Priebus and McGahn that he in fact spoke to Comey about Flynn and their one-on-one meeting. Fourth, the president's decision to clear the room and, in particular, to exclude the Attorney General from the meeting signals that the president wanted to be alone with Comey, which is consistent with the delivery of a message of the type that Comey recalls, rather than a more innocuous conversation that could have occurred in the presence of the Attorney General. Finally, Comey's recollection to the President's statement is consistent. Finally, Comey's reaction to the President's statement is consistent with the President having asked him to let Flynn go. Comey met with the FBI leadership team, which agreed to keep the President's statements closely held and not inform the team working on the Flynn investigation so they would not be influenced by the President's request. Comey also promptly met with the Attorney General to ask him not to be left alone with the President again, an account verified by Sessions, FBI Chief of Staff James Rybicki, and Jody Hunt, who was then the Attorney General's Chief of Staff. Second question is whether the President's statements, which were not phrased as a direct order to Comey, could impede or interfere with the FBI's investigation of Flynn. But the President said he hoped Comey could let Flynn go, rather than affirmatively directing him to do so. The circumstances of the conversation show that the President was asking Comey to close the FBI's investigation into Flynn. First, the President arranged the meeting with Comey so that they would be alone and purposely excluded the Attorney General, which suggests that the President meant to make a request to Comey that he did not want anyone else to hear. Second, because the President is the head of the executive branch, when he says that he hopes a subordinate will do something, it is reasonable to expect that the subordinate will do what the President wants. Indeed, the President repeated a version of "let this go" 3 times, and Comey